What's up, traders, and welcome to the Weekly Watchlist. The Weekly Watchlist is a video series where I do a technical analysis on 7 tickers with some of the most liquid options chains. Now, this analysis comes out every Sunday so you can have a leg up and a competitive edge for the week ahead. The watchlist is comprised, as always, of SPY, the Qs, Apple, Netflix, Tesla, Alibaba, and Facebook. And if you'd like to skip around and not necessarily follow me in order through this list, then feel free to go into the description and find the timestamp associated with the stock you're interested in. If you'd like me to review any other stocks, feel free to leave them down below in the comments section. And as always, I'm going to say this now before the end of the video in case you don't make it there. If you like this video or appreciate me to take the time to do this stuff, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section, of course. And as always, subscribe. That's the number one way you can let me know I'm adding value to you as a trader. So as always, starting off with SPY, it's going to give us a general outlook on the market as a whole. We didn't cover the weekly watch list last week due to Labor Day and the holiday, but we did make a move to new all-time highs and broke through this upper resistance trend line in the channel that we've been trending in for the past year or so. So right off the bat, we can draw in our new resistance at the all-time high here. That's coming into play right around 291.71. Definitely going to be a key level to keep in mind, but we are quite a ways below that right now. So some other levels to keep in mind as we head into this upcoming week. We're going to have a new resistance coming into play right around 289.50. So let's draw that one in there. Another bit of resistance coming into play based on these past support points, and then this, right on the dot. 288.70 is going to act as resistance. It seems like that's been a tough area in the past to get over, and then it does seem like we're forming a bit of support here right around 287, the whole dollar mark. It seems like we're forming a bit of a base here. We're not moving in quite as aggressive as a downward motion. It would be nice to see it go sideways, maybe come back down, test this previous all-time high again before it moves in the upwards direction. But again, this is what a healthy move looks like. We have a really nice move in the upwards direction. It's going to consolidate for a little while. It's going to form a bit of a channel in the downward direction while it's taking a breath. So we can draw in some lines such as this, and you can see we're consolidating straight into this major support, and it'd be nice to have this act as a super support here where this lower trend line on the channel acts as support, and then the all-time high acts as support, and we get a nice bounce and continuation in the upwards direction. So that's positive thinking. We are on the lower Bollinger Band. Wouldn't be surprised to see it move in the upward direction, but again, it could always pull back or even just go sideways for quite some bit before we decide to keep going in the upwards direction. Another level I'm seeing just quickly based on some of these highs over here, seemingly failing to break out above here, and this is a little ways off there, but failing to break out there and then coming straight back down to test this level here, and coinciding right here with some new resistance on the week there. It seems like 287.66 is sort of a key area on the chart right now. If we can bust above it and then bust through this upper resistance trend line on this little channel we've drawn, it would look like SPY could continue in the upwards direction. Alrighty, so the Q is looking quite similar to SPY. We had this beautiful move in the upwards direction, found a nice support trend line there, and then we topped out and formed a new all-time high similar to SPY, and we're going back in the downwards direction. The only difference here is that we've broken through our previous all-time high, which came into play way back here. This is our previous all-time high. We broke that, and quite aggressively, actually. If you look at the price action this day, it was just absolutely bearish. Hardly finding support at this level, so let's actually move that one down, or draw a new one rather, to represent our new support here. New support, I would say, is more like 180.55 based on the low of this candle, and then it stopped right here and then closed at that level there. So that is going to be our new support as we head into the week. Our resistances are pretty much mapped out for us already based on some of the action that happened last week. I will say that this one is certainly looking like a new area here, so right above that all-time high. And again, this just the power of charts. Look at this. It came up and tapped that level. This level was drawn way back in based on this high here. Some patterns, not really anything that's going on right now. It does seem like there's a bit of consolidation right here. It doesn't seem very strong based on these really aggressive sell-offs, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a continued move in the downward direction, possibly sideways for the beginning portion of the week and then some more move to the downside, but it doesn't look like it wants to reverse anytime soon. This powerful candle here, as well as these past two sessions here, are showing definite weakness continuing in the downward direction. So Q's not looking like it's going to be the best week ahead, but possibly some more consolidation and sideways action, if not some movement to the downwards direction. Next up we have Apple. Apple is big tech and the Q's track big tech, so it's not a surprise to see that they're moving in similar fashion. It found resistance finally, and it did seem like the strength was running out. We went sideways for a little bit, and as things go sideways, it's usually meaning it's consolidating, it's gearing up for a move in one direction or the other. So we consolidated and then boom, had this nice sell-off. Apple definitely needed to pull back a little bit. Things can't just continue in the upwards direction forever. So our levels of support and resistance are pretty much already mapped out for us. You can see that the price is, following to a T where its support and resistance were as we were on the upwards direction. Why does this happen? We're in blue sky territory. There's no past prior price history here, so it's going to follow the nearest price history we have, which is these levels here. So obviously we came up, found resistance right where we had support in the past, initially selling off straight to where this support was, coming back up straight to where this resistance was. It's crazy how this stuff works, but it works. Not looking incredibly strong yet. Obviously this candle here marks huge selling, big red volume down here. I wouldn't look to go long on Apple in the long term quite yet. I would wait for this to play out, possibly a little bit more consolidation. Look, the 200 SMA is way down here, quite a ways down below. 50 is proving to be not acting as support since we're below it now, so it's going to act as resistance. Watch for that to come into play as resistance, and again, these major levels here that I've got mapped out for you. So now moving on to Netflix, we can see Netflix has been playing within a bit of a range recently as well, but like all the other tech stocks, you might not consider Netflix tech, but sort of fits into that category. It's been pulling back, but what's different about Netflix is that we have some signs of strength coming in. We have a new low here, and then a higher low coming into play right here from this day, Friday. Although we have a move in the downwards direction, again, a really bloody candle, some pretty red volume, we do have a higher low developing, and also we have these flat highs coming into play, forming a bit of a ascending triangle. If we can tighten up this range and, sort of keep and hold this support trend line and form higher lows, then things might look good for Netflix. There could be a breakout in between this area in the chart here from 349.82 to 361.58. Some things, a new level of price action to keep in mind are these two highs here that definitely come into play as resistance. You can see we came up, tapped it, and then had a really bloody day. Here, a really green day actually, but we came up, tapped it, found resistance, and then, a little bit of a pullback that day there. So if we can form some new lows, higher lows that is, things might look good for Netflix to make a continuation to the upside. Of course, we do have the 50 and the 200 SMA respectively here. So look for Netflix to consolidate a little bit this week, form a bit of an ascending triangle. Let's even extend this line here. Just to play on the side of caution, it would be cool to see this thing consolidate in this triangle here based on this high. Flat highs here, consolidate in this range, tighten up, and then have a breakout over 355. Running for about $6 into that next resistance there. So look for that to happen this week on Netflix. Netflix is the only one that's showing a bit of strength with this new higher low. Tesla obviously showing some real big signs of weakness. It's violated a couple of really major and key levels. Obviously the 250, everything added up there, strong resistance. We gapped down actually and then continued in the downwards direction. So this was a failed breakout, which you could call a fake out, cracked straight through this next support down here at 307.60, and then this white ascending support trend line we have drawn from way back here on the chart. Tesla went and violated that one, so we're below that now, violating a few of these really major supports. So now it's really really not looking good for Tesla. We're below a lot of key things like I had been talking about. Look at this massive red volume here on Friday. Selling off. Tesla is creating lower lows, which is not a good sign if you are long. Obviously, us as options traders, we can go long via puts, and that is always good. So initial resistance coming into play right here, acting as support there, and then failing to break out above it there. You can see it tried. There's a tiny wick there, but breaking down after that. So 278.10 is going to be a resistance. Let's watch for this one to come in as support possibly. This 252.32. If it runs way back down to that level, it would be great to see that act as support. But if it breaks that, then it's quite a ways back in the chart before we have price history there. So let's scrunch this thing way up. Yeah, I mean, we're talking all the way back in April to the lows, Tesla's lows. Let's just draw one out here from 244.59. All right, so that's there at 244.59. That is our all-time low. If we break that level there, that support that we found, that little tiny foothold that Tesla has found at 252.32, then expect to go back to all-time lows at 244.59. Tesla, things not looking good, broke in these key areas, so continuation to the downside, you might see it pull back a little bit and then make another push down. But if we do hold this as support, then look for possibly a double bottom coming into play and a bounce to this new resistance, which we have here at 278.10. So Alibaba, another one I'm pretty bearish on, just like Tesla. It's violated another major support. If we go back and zoom way out again, you can see we've had these bounces right off of this major white line support. That comes into play, it's slightly ascending, but coming into play right around 170, whole dollar, somewhere in that area. So we violated that in a major way, coming down, even violating some of these lows here. If we draw out, let's just call it that, 167, almost the whole dollar there, violating that on the 4 hour. This is that level there. Obviously, we tried to find a foothold there, made a little run. This earnings thing crushed it, and since then we've been moving in the downwards direction. So some new areas to keep in mind, obviously our low. Would like to see that act as support and possibly put in a new higher low. However, we've been putting in lower highs. So let's add these as resistances here. Let's call this one sort of right in the middle there. Splitting the difference there at 163.21, that's going to act as a resistance. But it would be nice to first see a higher low if you're looking for this to have a reversal. However, I'm not sure how strong that bias is. I'd like to see a little bit of sideways action and then a direction being picked. It'd be nice to see a pattern develop, something that we can put a little bit of thought into and sort of make a strong decision based on that. So a little bit of sideways action, but right now it is certainly trending in the downwards direction. Doesn't look like it wants to stop anytime soon. Again, we're at these new lows here, so no real footholds in the chart history. If we scroll way back, look for Alibaba to continue in the downwards direction or go sideways, and if we do start to see higher lows, then possibly look for a double bottom reversal, but no promises yet. It does look like the bleeding has not quite stopped yet. There's no medics here to save Alibaba. So last but not least, we're going to wrap things up with Facebook. I actually had hope for Facebook last week based on what this price action was telling me here. Came up, formed a high, and then had a pullback into support and 50 SMA. And from there, we formed a higher high. So I had hope for Facebook, thinking that we were going to continue in the upwards direction after it got slammed on earnings way back here, like Netflix did, like Baba did. I thought we were going to have some hope in continuing back to where we were, back to where the price action was, but obviously this didn't happen. So big downwards move through a lot of these major supports that we had drawn here. Not sure what that's doing there, so let's get rid of that one. But sliding straight through some of these supports that we had, didn't hold up here at 170, and then when it cracked the major support that we had based on some of these lows back here, really bloody day. Look at the red volume there. All these, I'm sure there was just a ton of sell orders that triggered that day based on that prior low there. So coming way down. Some things that I'm seeing now though are we are sort of forming this double bottom here. Facebook is one of the ones that looks like it might possibly move in the upwards direction. Initial resistance coming into play based on the high of that candle at 164.60. That's certainly going to be a key level if we can break above that. And then again, let's just change this one to yellow. If we can break back above that and get into this range that we've been trading in ever since the earnings dump, then that would be nice. Again, an aggressive downtrend wouldn't be extremely long biased right now, but we are seeing some signs of, stopping the bleeding, if you will. Some support coming into play here at 160.14, so maybe a reversal. But as always, if you've made it this far, I do want to thank you. You've probably sat through the whole thing, or maybe you just skipped to Facebook. I don't know. But anyways, if you've made it this far, you obviously have an interest in the stock market, in stocks, and finance in general. So if you do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, I'm sure you won't be disappointed with the content I put out. I do trade recaps, any major stock market news I usually cover, and I always put out the weekly watch list on Sundays. I didn't do last week because of Labor Day, but getting back into the swing of things, the stock market should be looking up, have more volatility, more traders coming into the market now that the summer is sort of officially ended. So as always, if you found any of this valuable, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or want to see any other tickers added to the watch list, leave them down below in the comments section. And as always, if you subscribe, that is the #1 way you can let me know I'm providing value to you as a trader.